Hello, welcome to another episode of Tom's TC. Today we're going to replace the throttle position sensor on my Yamaha MT-01. I've had numerous problems with it and I feel like I've now whittled it down to the throttle position sensor being the main issue, mainly due to throttle response and things like that, cutting out and popping and banging, that sort of thing. I've already replaced it once before. It's a long story as to why I'm replacing it again. You can check out my Facebook feed and also in my community feed on YouTube to see why I'm replacing it again. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is remove the cover from the side. We then need to undo these Allen bolts here and remove these bolts here as well, and also remove the two bolts inside there. And then this whole lot comes off. You need to remove all the tubes, so just make sure you take some pictures of the tubes or just remember what's connected before you take it all off, because you have to disconnect the whole thing. So let's get on with that. So first of all, remove these two Allen bolts at the top. Just get those guys out, and then we remove these two bolts, actually these two bolts here and then those two bolts. And then release these two bolts in here, which are a 14mm socket. Sometimes you might need to take that off before you can get to them. There we go. Like I said, it's always a good idea just to loosen it all up beforehand. Let's take this off next. Let's release that. And then also you can take off the hoses, like so, and then you can release this. Like so. And the next job is to release this bracket here. So we just take our 14mm, just release them off. Like so. Now these bolts are different lengths. So you've got your short one on the right hand side as you're looking at the bike, long one on the left hand side. Slightly longer one. We need to take these bolts out here. I'm really loosen them, so I'll just do it with my fingers. And the idea is you should be able to remove this bracket. Now the problem is you've got all these pipes here and tubes, so what you need to do is just release them with a pair of long nose pliers. So you've got these clips here, and there's a clip there as well. There's also a clip on the other side here. So you just get your long nose pliers in and just move the clips. It's quite fiddly. Just move them up out the way. Be careful not to damage any other hoses, like so. Just push them back up the hose, and then the hose should come off, like so. Try and remember where the hoses go, because putting them back on later can be a real fiddle. Try not to scratch up your bike as well when you do this. And there we have this part as well. Some clips. Trying to get your thumb stuck. Put it all back through here. Just remove that bracket there, like so. And that's that removed. And now we have access, I don't know if you can see that, I'll get a light on that in a second. We have access to the actual throttle position sensor itself, which is actually quite straightforward to remove. So as you can see, the throttle position sensor is in there, and to remove it you need remove two Torx security bolts. What a Torx security bolt bit is basically, I don't know if you can see that, it's a Torx bolt with a Torx bit with a hole in the middle. You just put that on and away you go. You can order these on eBay, they're really cheap. So yeah, I'll put a link below. So let's get that removed. Just be really careful not to drop any screws, because they're a pig to get out from in the nooks and crannies. So take the screws out. Again, just being careful not to drop them. And the other side as well. And then take off the throttle position sensor and unclip it from the connections. So this is the old throttle position sensor here. This is the faulty one. And this is the new throttle position sensor. So as you can see, two very different designs. Very expensive as well. You're looking at about £150 for these, unfortunately. For such a simple little device is a bit gutting, but needs be. You can, I have seen people cut these open, give them a good clean, and pull the prongs over a little bit more to give better sensitivity. The issues that I'm having is basically the roll-on on the throttle is causing the bike to sort of surge, and I'm pretty sure it's this. So the job now is just basically reverse onto the bike the same way that you went on. In there, what's worth, without the throttle position sensor, you can see like a prong sticking out, and the throttle position sensor just mounts onto there. And this turns when you turn the throttle, giving the ECU an idea of where your throttle is and knows how much fuel to put into the bike and air mixture, blah blah blah. So just connect up the new one into the right connector, which is down here, like so. Put that onto the bike. There we go, just making sure it lines up correctly. It's very important that when you put the throttle position sensor on, it actually goes in a similar position to what the old one was. There we go. And screw it back on. Just do them up loose at first. And then just give them a little hand tighten. Making sure the throttle just turns okay, which it does. And then just reverse the job. So the first job is to reconnect up this, like so. Making sure we get all the hoses back on the right places. Making sure the hoses go through the right holes. Popped off again, like so. So just try to get that in like that. And you do have a tendency to keep popping off all the time, but it is easier to work with it loose. And that hose should go on a bit easier. Once you've got the hoses sort of in place, making sure they're all connected, not as far as you can get them, then you can loosely bolt things back up. Okay, so we've got the bracket back in, we put the 2 bolts at the bottom. And now it's just a case of fitting the 2 top bolts. It's always a good idea to just loosen these guys off, get it the right way, just to give you enough play to get these guys straight. A bit more. Make sure they're pretty tight. Like so. Okay, so we've put everything back together, all the hoses are connected. Before you put the cover on, it's always a good idea just to run the bike up and see if it works okay. So we'll do that now.